Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to share with you an insight about our connection with God. Every single one of us wants to be connected with God. But I find that many of us, including myself, for many years, live the reality of God as something which is, as we refer to in the books of Kabbalah, as makif, something external, something disconnected from us, something far from us, and not the reality which is internalized, incarnated in our day-to-day reality. And this is a subject I would like to address today, but in order to start, I'd like to share with you, first of all, an insight from this week's Torah portion, which blends in directly in the subject matter of today's parasha, and today's topic. Yaakov, Jacob, our forefather, leaves. Where does he go? He leaves his parents' home, and for 14 years he is going to bury himself in the books of Torah and study Torah, immerse himself in his connection with God in a very intense way and very powerful way, abandoning any type of physical, material involvement. When finally he goes on his path to find a wife, he is going to rest. He's going to go to rest. And when he goes to rest, at this moment he has a dream. Where am I resting? What place did I fall upon? None other than the place of the Mikdash, the holy temple, the place that God revealed himself to Abraham, where he sacrificed his son Yitzhak, the same place that Yitzhak Avinu is going to pray to God, the prayer of Mincha, the afternoon prayer. And this is the place of Yaakov. And he says, at this moment he has a dream. In a dream, he dreams of a ladder that's very, very anchored in the earth and that goes all the way up to the heavens. He wakes up, he says, Achen yesh Elokim b'makom hazeh v'anochi lo yadati. I didn't know that this place was the place where God is, and I did not know. Meaning that if I would have known, I would never have gone to rest. I would never have gone to sleep there. So what did he do? He took a stone. He anointed the stone with oil, with olive oil. And at this moment, he said, this is going to be Bet Elokim. This is the house of God. V'zeh sha'ar hashamayim. This is the gate to heaven. God, if you're going to give me bread to eat, clothes to dress myself, and you will be with me all the path, whatever I have, I'll give you 10%. So here we see the prayer of a son that just left the house of his parents, is about to go on a journey. But between these two times, he immerses himself completely in the godly pursuit of connection with God, which is the study of Torah, day and night, without barely sleeping. He has an encounter with something spiritual, a spiritual experience. After that, what spiritual experience? He's going to see angels going up and down a ladder. And then he finally goes on his path. Over there, being that the reason why he left his parents' home is because he was hated by his brother Esav, which wanted to kill him because he took the blessings away from him. And now he's in the house of Lavan. He meets Lavan. He comes destitute. He doesn't have a penny to his name. Lavan welcomes him, has no choice but to welcome him. He works for Lavan for a month. Afterwards, he says, if you want my daughter, work for me 7 years. He works for 7 years. He wants to connect to Rachel and be married to her. Instead, Lavan plays a trick and he gives him Leah. He ends up being with Leah. And then he told, why did you give me Leah? Why did you trick me? I tricked you. She is the firstborn. I don't give the first one that needs to get married is the firstborn. So that's what happens. So he works another 7 years for Rachel. Meanwhile, he's a shepherd. During this whole time, our sages teach us that he was saying the Shir HaMa'alot, the 15 songs of David. All the songs that David wrote in the Tehillim are songs from different authors and that he got in Ruach HaKodesh by divine inspiration. And he works very hard. His father-in-law Lavan is a sly. He's a thief. He uses trickery and extorts whatever he can from him. During that time, there's something that happens. Yaakov Avinu is working with the sheep of Lavan. 14 years for his wives and their maidservants. And from this, he is able to establish 11 of the 12 tribes of Israel during that time. Eventually, Lavan realizes that he has been blessed because of him. And God gives a tremendous financial wealth to Yaakov, a tremendous siyata d'ishmaya, help from heaven, that he's tremendously successful. Eventually, he wants to run away with his daughters, with his wives, the daughters of Lavan. Runs away from Lavan. Lavan catches him and says, why are you running away from me? And finally, they make a pact exactly to set the limits straight. And once he leaves, it says over there at the end of the parasha, "Vayivgeu bo malachei Elokim." He encountered angels. Now, again, for those who just came in line, I just want to give you the timeline again. It's such an incredible timeline. I love this parasha for this specific point, because the core essence of who we are as a people, as Jews, is this parasha. Yaakov goes out of yeshiva, sitting 14 years studying Torah. What happens? In his dream, he sees angels. He goes into the real world, staying honest, straight, connected to God. And what happens? During this time is the time that he's going to establish all of the Jewish people. Not only is he going to establish the Jewish people during this time, but at the end of his journey of overcoming all the challenges that he went through, all the trickery, staying connected to God, at the end, instead of seeing the angels, his dream, he sees the angels in reality. What's happening? And this is the subject of today. I find that there are so many people, I'm talking religious, practicing Jews now, which live their Judaism and their connection with God. And most people, unfortunately, in a way that I'm down here and God is up there, very far. There's the reality of God. If that's the case, we have a big, big problem. How can you connect to something that's up there? You're down here. You're a nobody. You're a little speck in the whole universe, and how much more so in comparison to the whole spiritual realms and worlds and realities. We must say that that's not what God intends. Let's go back to the beginning. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. God created the heavens and the earth. Why? And he created man in this physical world. Why? God has myriads and myriads of angels which praise him all day, that are spiritual beings. Why does he need me? Why does he need you? Why does he need man? What's the purpose? So there's a verse that says, Va'ani natati lachem me'alchim bein ha'omdim ha'ele. I made you someone who can walk amongst those who stand. What's the difference between a walker and somebody who stands? Somebody who stands doesn't evolve. It's talking about the angels. They never evolved. Man is able to evolve. Is constantly walking every step of the way. The mistakes you make, whatever is happening with you in your life, it's part of you evolving. The steps you make backwards are steps forward for the future as well. They're part of the journey. If God created the physical world, it means that purpose is down here. If not, he doesn't need to create this physical world. And therefore, it's not that the reality of God is there and you are here. No. The reality of God is down here, and so too are his angels, and so too is the Garden of Eden, and so too every reality, all of these realities are down here. I made you somebody that walks amongst those who stand. Ah, you're going to tell me, but Rabbi, I have never seen an angel. I don't see the reality of God in this world. Well, that's your problem. I mean to say, the way Maimonides, I'm going to say something that's a little interesting, very interesting. In the laws, a foundation of Torah, Yesodei Torah of the Rambam Maimonides, Maimonides asks a question. He says, I don't understand. If angels are spiritual beings, how can you distinguish one angel from another angel? They're all spiritual. If you're spiritual, what defines you one from the other? What makes that one angel is higher than the other? So he says, the angels are distinguished one from the other. It's just like when you say that you have many, many people in a room. And you say that this one is sage. He's a sage. He's a genius in this. He's a knowledgeable in this. So you have possibly all people in a room, but it's their wisdom that actually distinguish them one from another. The myriads of angels, each one perceive God at his own way. The perception that they have is what distinguishes them from another. Let's talk about that. The reality of God is down here. The reality of the angels is down here. The problem is, where is my perception? how do I perceive the world? How do I perceive the reality of God? If I'm going to focus only on the physical, then I'm in big trouble. Because the physical, the material world, and the way we are built is in a way of self-centeredness, where it's me, myself, and I, how I'm having the experience. And that's why you have people that are always struggling. Always struggling. What are they struggling with? They're not struggling with the world. They're not struggling with challenges which are outside of them. They're struggling with challenges which are inside of them. It's their reality. I'm knocking into myself. I'm not knocking into the world. I'm stumbling upon myself, not on the world. Because the world for me is a reality. But what's a reality? I'm a reality. And therefore you have these people that all day long speak about themselves. I have this problem, I have that problem, I have this issue. All day long. There's an issue. Because you're the issue. Now, the moment that I make a conscious decision to divest myself of the me, myself, and I decide that I'm going to make that my spirituality, my godly element, my soul, is going to supersede the reality of my body, and I'm going to start changing, making changes. So we have a Torah for that. The Torah indicates to you exactly how you use the material. What you can eat, what you can't eat, what you can speak, what you can't speak, what you can see, what you can't see, what you can hear, what you can't hear, and so on and so forth. The dimension of time when you can work, the dimension of time when you can't work. So God says there's the reality of the world the way the whole world sees it. And then I'm offering you a guide, another pair of glasses that are going to show you what I intended for the world. If you want to live in this reality, you're going to understand that the world is only a stage, a garden in which you and I can meet, can enjoy each other. If you decide to make your own way, your own path, you're just going to be part of that reality and limited in the reality of your body. And that's not very exciting, I want to tell you, because it's very, very limiting. Very limiting. I think the greatest anxiety a person has, anxiety, panic attacks, all of this comes from the fact that a person is so strangled in their reality. Get out of your reality. Stop it. Just stop thinking about yourself. What I'm experiencing, what I'm not experiencing, what I'm feeling, what I'm not feeling, it's good, it's not good. Stop it. Just free yourself. What are you doing in order to make this place a garden? What are you doing to encounter God? So the first step of Yaakov is, first of all, I need to study Torah. I'm not studying Torah every day, feeding my soul, doing mitzvot, putting myself in that plan, that master plan, right? Sometimes you have, one day, my wife and I, we went for a 2-hour drive. We went to visit our children in camp in New York. So we had to go to the Delaware. I forgot even the name of the place. And we pressed on the GPS. Little did we know, in the function in the GPS, you could choose if you want to go through normal routes, or if you want to go, which means normal routes, which is highway and so on and so forth, or if you want to go through even small roads, right? So what happened? We didn't know that in the GPS, the function was to avoid tolls. The ride ended up being 3.5 hours instead of 2, but it was an absolutely different ride. We went through forests, through mountains, through beautiful trees, gardens. Wow. Nature. We went through nature. That's the word I was looking for. And it was, wow, it was another trip. Do you understand that you have 2 trips here? You have a person that's going on the 95, the highway, and that's the way you have to take your turn here, do this, do that. It's so dry and it's so not pleasant. Then you have another person who lives through life and he looks at it through the eyes of Torah. Already, it's pleasant. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a place. Everything has a time. Everything is a moment to connect. Everything is an encounter with God. But in order to do that, you have to divest yourself of your own personal limitations. So the beginning is study Torah. That's what Yaakov did. But then you have a little danger. I call it the danger of human nature. And if you don't mind, those who want to stay on. Those who could stay on. It's a long weekend. I'm going to take my time. I don't have my next appointment canceled on me. So I'm a free man. So let's go on this journey together. So thank you for being here. I would even say afterwards, if we have some time, we could discuss a little what we're just saying. So, yes, I studied Torah. I connected myself to God. And now Yaakov, what happens with him? He starts seeing angels in his dreams. And here I could make a very big mistake. And I see that most of us make this mistake. I'm going to think that God is in my dreams. The angels are above. God's reality is unreachable. And therefore, my natural tendency is going to be to escape myself, to look for God. If you ask me today, where do all the addictions come from? Every single one of them. My personal opinion is that man by nature is looking to escape reality of the world. I want to be free. And I will tell you that even amongst those who study Torah and are observant, the freedom is expressed in a way that is not constructive. What I mean by that is that I want to escape the reality. So the way for me to escape reality is not to get involved in physical things. Why? Because the rationale I have is that God is not here. He's far. He's above. He's so far away from me. So I need to escape. I can't be involved in the material and this and that. No, I just need to disconnect. Disconnect. If you want to disconnect, God would not have created you, my friend. He would have left your soul with the angels up there, where you think it is. God wants you to connect to physicality. And that's why you see something very precise. When Yaakov Avinu goes to sleep, he does see angels. But there's a big, big message that's given to him. Sulam, the ladder, is mutzav arza. It is anchored very deep in the earth. V'rosho magia shamayma, but it reaches the highest levels of heaven. This is a message that God is giving to Yaakov. My friend, you just came out of yeshiva. You just came out of your spiritual experiences and everything. You're seeing angels. The purpose is not to escape to another reality. You have to be very well anchored in this world. What is going to anchor you in this world? It's going to be action. Hamasehu aika. What action can I take right now? People are going to psychoanalysis and spending years trying to find out what's in the back of my brain, in the subconscious mind, to fix something. My friends, the only way to fix is to do. Do. Get involved physically in your body. Internalize your spirituality in physicality, in practicality. Such a mistake, everybody, so many people do. And that's why afterwards you have these guys which are living their Judaism and they feel they're lacking something. And therefore we need to have a little drink before Shabbat, another whiskey, another Kiddush club, another social club, another experience of, I need to feel good. The feel good element is as well about me, myself, and I. I'm sorry to say. The only thing that's divested of your yeshut, of your personal self-centeredness, is once you do a mitzvah. Because at that moment you're doing something, whether you feel, whether you don't, whether it doesn't matter. You're doing an action. But by that action, what are you saying? What are we declaring when we say an action? We are declaring, I surrender myself to the will of God. I don't understand what I'm doing. I'll never get to the depth of what I'm doing. It's not an intellectual. I'll never feel really fully what I could feel. But I'm just doing the will of my master. So I, the small little being that's so small, I'm bringing nachat, bringing pleasure to the highest of highest, and I'm connecting with the highest of highest. Why? Because just like the ladder, I'm well anchored down here. And therefore I'm able to go to the highest levels. And that's what people don't understand. They're looking for angels. In the 70s, I saw this video of Jem, really, I loved it. Jewish educational media, it has a lot of videos of the Rebbe. And somebody came into a private audience with the Rebbe and said, Rebbe, I was a hippie, and now, Baruch Hashem, I'm observant, I'm religious, and so on, and I'd like to know, what is the Torah view on smoking marijuana? What's the Torah view on doing pot? By the way, I'm going to share something very personal. I personally do pot, LSD, and CBD every day. Pot is P-O-T, put on tefillin. LSD is let's start davening. I daven. And CBD is Chabad. That's why when people see me, they say, hi, Rabbi. I don't know how they know that I'm high on life. Anyway, that was just a side joke. Hopefully they won't cut the video just where I say I do pot. And then I put it in all the medias and I'm fried. So, what is the Torah opinion, he asks the Rebbe, on using psychedelics in order to connect to God? So the Rebbe's answer was very interesting. The Rebbe said, at the initial experience of any type of drug will certainly open up things that a person will feel very close to God. But from that step onwards, man will be chasing that experience to relive that experience again and will never be satisfied. He's going to be running basically around this and never getting anywhere and get sinking and more and more and more into the addiction. And he said, indeed, that's what he experienced. How does the Rebbe know? Well, that's not a question. So many people are looking to get out. First of all, you have to be anchored. And the purpose is not only to be anchored, but even when you get to heaven, Rosho Magia Shamaima, you get to the highest spiritual levels. You understand that these highest spiritual levels are not there. They're here in your reality. Which I'd like to share with you two stories. Tonight, and tomorrow, and Sunday is going to be the yard site, the Hilula of the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was very prolific in writing Chassidut, writing the writings of Chassidut. Next week, Bezat Hashem, it's going to be Yutet Kislev. It's going to be the day that Chassidut Chabad was revealed to the world. What is so special about Chassidut? Chassidut is that dimension of Torah which is not only within the practical realm, which means halacha, Jewish law, practicality. It's not only in the supernal realm, which is Kabbalah, the codes of creation, which are distant from us and can't be really absorbed. It's actually the quintessence of Torah. It's that dimension of Torah, which because it's at the highest possible level, at the essence of God's will to create the world, in the essence of the God's will to create the world, the purpose is this world. Let me explain. I want a house. I want to build myself a beautiful home. What's my ultimate purpose? It's true, there's a time where I'm going to sit with my architects and look at the plans of the house. But that's not the purpose. There's going to be the time that I'm going to sit with my designer in order to design the house. But again, that's not the purpose. These are all steps towards the purpose. The ultimate purpose is to have a physical house in which I live, I sleep, I eat, I am comfortable. So really, the most intrinsic, essential desire I have, and the final physical result of that desire are one. And that's what people don't understand. They think that I have to cleave onto something out of me. No, it's here. This is where the quintessence of God is. This is where his desire is the most. And therefore, why am I looking up there? Let me look down here. Let me use that physical world in order to sanctify it. That dimension is Chassidut. And we too have in our souls a part of our soul, which is the fifth level, the quintessence, quinto in Hebrew, just like you have the four levels of the soul, and then you have the fifth level, which stands alone. You're able to awaken the quintessence of the soul, which makes peace between the physical and the spiritual. And then suddenly, what happens to Yaakov? At the beginning, God sends him his message. He says, now I understand. This is a house. This is a home for God. The home for God has its ladder well anchored and reaching the highest possible levels. So that's the way I need to be. So he goes on his journey and he fights the fight. He's going to work very hard, night and day, in the cold, in the heat. And he's going to serve and do what he's supposed to do in the most honest way. He's going to be a man of action. At the end, what happens at the end of the parasha? He encounters the angels physically. He sees physical angels. At the beginning, when he was coming from the spiritual realm, he saw spiritual angels in his dreams. Once he got involved in this world and understood that the purpose of the world is in this world, then he encounters the angels physically. And to this, I'd like to share with you two stories. I'll conclude with these two stories, and then I'll tell you about my trip next week. B'ezrat Hashem. The successor of the holy Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Chassidut, is the Maggid of Mezrich. He was knowledgeable in all the teachings of Kabbalah and all the Talmud and everything, and he went to see and explore to see if this Baal Shem Tov, this Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, is really somebody so special. Everybody's talking about him. He went and he didn't see anything. He spent Shabbat over there. He didn't see anything. And then Sunday he decided to leave, so the Baal Shem Tov sent his assistant to call him back. He sat him down. He told him, do you know how to read the Zohar? Do you know how to study the Zohar? Right? He says, yes, of course. Okay, open any page and start reading. He starts reading. He explains. The Baal Shem Tov asks him, you understand well? He says, yeah. He says, let me read now. And then the Baal Shem Tov started reading. What happened? As soon as he spoke about a certain angel, that angel came down in the reality of this world. Spoke about another angel revealed itself. He said, one second, this is a different type of Torah. Till now, I taught the study of the secrets of Torah, of that reality, was that reality is above. You just revealed to me that reality is here, even though I don't see it. But the more I'm going to refine myself, the more I'm going to elevate myself, the more I'm going to be connected to God's plan, the more I'm going to be able to see the reality that's here. One story. Second story of the Maggid, that the Maggid of Mezrich had a friend which he studied Kabbalah, he studied the secrets of Torah with years before. And they met after he became a Chassid and he started studying Chassidut with the Baal Shem Tov. What happens? He meets his friend. His friend is all, hunched up, very much in his books, very focused and disconnected from the world. So that morning they prayed Shacharit, the morning prayer. His friend used the different kavanot, intentions, Kabbalistic intentions that are in the books that indicate how you go through this spiritual pathway to reach this spiritual pathway and that spiritual pathway. And he prayed for an hour and a half. The Maggid of Mezrich was praying for hours and hours on end. So his friend asked him, I don't understand. We studied this together, Kabbalah. How come I'm praying only for an hour and a half and you're praying for hours and hours? I mean, what's the story here? So the Maggid told him, what do you do for a living? He said, I sell wood. So how does it work? He says, I go for a month to Leipzig, a special city over there where the marketplace is, and I chop wood and I prepare wood and I sell the wood and I make a good enough living that the rest of the year I can study Torah with peace without having to worry about my sustenance. So the Maggid says to him, I don't understand. Why do you have to bother, travel all the way to Leipzig, come back, chop wood, do all this stuff and spend a whole month over there? Why don't you just, in your imagination, imagine a trip to Lipsut? Imagine yourself buying, selling it. He looks at him and says, what are you talking about? Makes no sense what you're saying. You want to make a living, you need to go and make a living. You can't just do it in your mind. He says, that's the difference between you and me. You're studying Kabbalah, and you're talking about the dimensions of God above. So that reality is really in your imagination. Right? It's a reality, but you're referring to levels which are above you that you cannot apply in your day-to-day life. Since I started studying Chassidut, this reality is not something above that surrounds me. It's something that is internalized in my life. I see it. I live it. I'm at the marketplace at the moment that I pray. I'm in front of God. And when I ask for wisdom, and I know it comes from a certain level, which is chokhmah, or when I ask to return to God, it comes from the level of bina, understanding, or when I ask for health, which comes from another dimension, another expression, I'm living these realities now. So it takes much more time. I'm involved in this world. And this is the great lesson and the great chidush, the great novelty of what Chassidut teaches us. God is not there, He's here. All the realities, spiritual realities you hear about, they're down here in this physical world. It's for us to become more aligned with ourselves, have our feet well anchored in the ground in order to be able to reach the highest levels. And once we have that, then, as I said before with the GPS story, the journey you're living is a completely different journey. You're no longer on this dry, boring highway. You're going through a garden of colors, of odors, of beautiful scenery. And that experience is another experience. Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, is not up there. It's down here. It depends on where you want to put your reality. God bless you all. I'd like to invite everybody to, those who want, to please ask questions and we could discuss. Just you could put, I think, raise your hand. If you need to go, go, please. I don't want to hold anybody. I think this is the best Thanksgiving. Giving thanks to Hashem today, every day. So anybody has any questions or anything that they want to add, subtract, refine?
Just want to thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. God bless you and your family. Thank you. So Shabbat Shalom to all. And hopefully we can not rest on this, but actually take action. And as we take action, Bezrat Hashem, God will take action and bring us out of this exile to Mashiach right now, down here in our reality. Shabbat Shalom.